Question: who's got time for a little bit of a story of something that just happened recently? Back in a minute. Hey, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. But sometimes Jan from New York City makes mistakes, just like everyone else on planet Earth. Got to tell you a little bit of a story. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been accused of saying the following words? Yeah, I'll do it when I get around to it. Yeah, I'll do that when I get around to it. I'll do this when I get around to it. Well, one day in New York City, this was about, I don't know, 30 years ago. I was looking in a store window as I was walking by somewhere. I think it was like York Avenue or First Avenue on the Upper East Side. And I saw this strange object in the window, and it fascinated me. And what it said was round. And then right below it, it said to it. I said, what on planet Earth is this round to it? Round to it. And the whole novelty of the idea was to buy something when you get a round to it. Well, guess what? I recreated the thought. So I'm not taking credit. I know you can't really see this through the magic of television here, but you'll see it on the thumbnail. A round to it. Oh, wait a minute. If I put it closer to me, you might catch it a little bit. Anyway, a round to it. So I made a round to it. What am I going to do? I'm going to do this thing when I get a round to it. Well, now I have a round to it in my hands. Now, this involves another object, the strange story. A coffee can. Yes, a coffee can of course, favorite coffee. Okay, now, as everybody that follows me all the time knows, I drink mainly instant, okay? Perfectly happy with a decent quality instant coffee. I've actually had some bargain brand instant coffees that weren't half bad at all. So I'm looking at my active pantry, not the one behind me, which is, of course, my extended pantry. I'm looking at my active pantry, and always do I have this beautiful can. Might have seen it in another video. What happened was about a year ago, someone gifted me with like 4 pounds of rice. And I had an empty one of those, right? And I filled it up with the 4 pounds of rice. I don't personally, Janet, eat rice a ton. I just don't. And I like to make rice patties once in a while, which, by the way, I hope to make a video on that very soon, okay? But so I said, you know what? I don't want this rice to go badly and whatever. So it was like weird sitting in the sack. So I took the empty can. I had an empty can, and I poured the rice, 4 pounds in here. And by the way, it actually fit perfectly. So every once in a while, I have, family comes over and whatever. And certain members of my family only like to drink, the real deal brewed coffee, of which, I do in a coffee maker. They won't have instant. They're not like me. They won't have instant. It's totally fine. So I've always, I always said I had another can of this, except smaller. So I always had the bigger can with the coffee in it. Totally forgot that I ran out of the ground coffee. Totally forgot. So I says, well, let me go to the smaller container and see if there's still any left, enough to make a couple of, pots for the coffee for the company that I was getting that day. Gonzo. Completely gonzo. And I'll tell you why. And I'll show you the connection. Because I kept saying, I will get around to it. You know what? I'm going to get around to it, and I'm going to fill this can up, the other can, purchase, my bigger amounts of the coffee and put it in the can and store it. I completely forgot. And this can happen to anyone. So luckily, I called one of the, visitors, and I said, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm so embarrassed. Would you mind drinking, instant coffee today? The person was very nice about it. And the person said, no, 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 no. I have tons and tons of ground coffee, because the person said, you don't drink it. So it's really mainly me drinking you know, that type of coffee. So that person, came over and blessed me with, a bunch of that other coffee. Moral of the story: stop saying getting a round two. Now, this is empty. And the reason this is empty is because the person that brought their coffee had put it in here. It's a long story on that, but it doesn't make a difference. This will get filled up with another object. But here's the point being: instead of constantly saying a round to it, and by the way, maybe you should make one of these for yourself. Just take a round anything and glue a label on. I'll put this on the thumbnail. And remind yourself, hang it up on the wall. How many things have you said to yourself, I really think I'm going to get around to, I'll get around to it, whatever. You could compare it to a leaky sink, for example. Like, you have to change a little washer on there. I'm going to go get around to it. And then meantime, back at the ranch, the drip is getting bigger, worse. Oh, you start off with a tiny little cavity, the size of a pin dot. I'm going to get around to it and make that dental appointment and have that taken care of. And we all know that sometimes the more we procrastinate certain things, especially, it ends up costing us a lot of money. I was really embarrassed. I say, here I am talking about stockpiling and being ready and all this and all that. But, we're human and we all make mistakes. Funny thing is, I could create, videos. I, have an organized manner in which I, like to execute my videos. And I guess you guys that know me by now know that pretty much like clockwork, Monday through Friday at 5 a.m., the uploads are there. The exception of Tuesday, of course, which of course is Tea Tuesday, and that upload comes on at 10 in the morning. The point I'm trying to make is even so-called organized people with neat refrigerators, people who have decently organized extended pantries can make a mistake. So here's the biggest thing. Buy yourself or make yourself a round to it. I don't think you could buy a round to it anymore, but make your own round to it, whatever, and then hang it up somewhere. And if there is something in your life that you really, really promise, that you really, really mean, that you are going to get a round to it, get a round to it. As soon as I get off recording video, say I'm going to put labels on those couple of cans so that embarrassing situation doesn't happen. It was really embarrassing because, see, like I said, I don't drink that kind of coffee. I mean, I'm very astutely aware of what's in my active pantry and stockpile in terms of instant coffee. But it's just a reminder. Sometimes that happens when you're a family of one. And they're you're just in your own little zone world. Sometimes I'm not saying selfish or anything. It just happens. The focus sometimes gets a little dull on the extenuating circumstance. But the person I call was don't be silly. You never drink the other one. Why would you even think of it? But the bottom line is I should have thought of it. And instead of saying, I'll get a round to it, just do it. There you go. Well, in the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thank you so much for viewing. Why? Because I really, really, really do appreciate who? You. Do not forget to come back in the future for some more savings, tips, tricks, recipes, whatnot, little chats, sharing of little stories, lessons learned, and I really appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to close out the show and give you a wave. Be right back. Have an amazing, fantastic remainder of the weekend. Take good care and make sure you get around to it. Bye.